Listen, I know exactly what you're going through because I've been there too. You wake up, you look in the mirror, and you just don't recognize the person staring back at you. You're over 60, you're doing everything the experts told you to do, you're eating the salads, you're walking the miles, you're practically living on air and good intentions. But that stubborn weight around your middle, it just won't budge. It feels like a betrayal, doesn't it? Like your own body has decided to go on strike. But here's the thing they never told you, and this is the core of everything we're going to talk about today. It's not your fault. You aren't lazy. You don't have bad genes. You are simply stuck in what I call the survival trap. When we hit 60, our bodies change, our chemistry changes, and most importantly, our relationship with stress changes. Your body isn't trying to make you miserable. It's actually trying to save you. It thinks there's a famine coming. It thinks you're in danger. So it produces a hormone called cortisol. And cortisol is like a master lock on your fat cells. It grabs every calorie you eat and stores it right in your belly, like a squirrel hiding nuts for a long, cold winter. The harder you push, the tighter that lock gets. When you starve yourself, your body panics. When you do intense cardio that leaves you gasping for air, your body thinks you're running from a predator. The alarm bells start screaming, and your metabolism just shuts down. You cannot win a war against your own biology, but you can negotiate with it. Today, I want to share a story about a woman named Margaret. Margaret was 64, a retired school teacher from Ohio. She was the kind of person who followed every rule to a T. She tracked every calorie, she never touched a dessert, and she walked 5 miles every single morning, rain or shine. And yet, she was carrying 30 pounds of stress weight that made her feel exhausted and old before her time. Margaret was fighting her body, and she was losing. One evening, we sat down and talked about the golden window. I told her, Margaret, I want you to stop the marathons. I want you to stop the deprivation. I want you to start sending your body a signal of safety. I told her about the secret weapon, something so simple, so counterintuitive that she almost didn't believe me. I'm talking about high-quality, 70% dark chocolate. Now wait, I know what you're thinking. Chocolate for weight loss? That's crazy. But hear me out. Real dark chocolate isn't candy. It's a metabolic tool. It's packed with something called flavonoids. These are tiny nutrients that literally tell your nervous system to chill out. They lower your heart rate. They relax your blood vessels. And most importantly, they tell your adrenal glands to stop pumping out that belly fat storing cortisol. I gave Margaret a protocol. I told her, every night, 1 hour after dinner, during your golden window, I want you to take just one square of dark chocolate. But here's the catch. You have to eat it like it's the most expensive thing on earth. I told her to put it on her tongue, let it melt, feel the texture, taste the richness. When you do this, you aren't just eating a snack. You are performing a biological reset. You are telling your brain, hey, the famine is over. We have plenty. We are safe. You can let go of the reserves now. Margaret started the protocol. The first 3 days, she felt guilty. She felt like she was cheating. But by the end of the first week, something strange happened. She started sleeping through the night. She wasn't waking up at 3 in the morning with her mind racing. By week 2, her jeans weren't digging into her waist anymore. The puffiness in her face was gone. She had energy again. She wasn't working out. She was just living. But because she had turned off the cortisol alarm, her body finally had permission to burn the fat she'd been carrying for a decade. This isn't about magic pills. It's about science. It's about understanding that after 60, your body needs peace more than it needs punishment. If you're tired of the struggle, if you're tired of feeling like your body is the enemy, I want you to try this. Go to the store today. Find a bar of dark chocolate, at least 70% cocoa. Nothing with milk or syrup in the first 3 ingredients. Tonight, find your golden window. Sit in your favorite chair. Turn off the news and just breathe. Take that 1 square, let it melt, and feel the stress leave your body. You've spent your whole life taking care of everyone else, your kids, your career, your home. It is finally time to take care of you. You don't have to suffer to be healthy. You just have to be kind to yourself. If you're ready to stop the war and start the healing, I want you to say it out loud right now. Say, I am ready, because you are. You deserve to feel vibrant. You deserve to feel comfortable in your own skin. This is your new path, and it starts with 1 sweet, delicious bite. I'll be right here with you every step of the way. Stay calm, stay hopeful, and remember, your body wants to be healthy. It just needs to feel feels safe. Go get your chocolate, and I'll see you in the next chapter. I want you to take a deep, slow breath with me for a second. Just breathe. Does it feel like you've been holding your breath for years? Like you're constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop? If you're over 60 and you feel like you're doing all the right things, but your body is stuck in neutral, I want you to know something very important. You are not broken, and you are definitely not failing. For decades, we've been sold a lie. We've been told that our bodies are like calculators, that if we just subtract enough calories and add enough exercise, we'll stay thin and healthy forever. But your body isn't a calculator. It's a living, breathing, incredibly smart ecosystem. And as we get older, that ecosystem changes its priorities. Think back to when you were 20 or 30. You could skip a meal or go for a long run, and your body would just snap back. But now, if you skip a meal, you feel shaky and exhausted. If you push yourself too hard at the gym, you don't feel energized. You feel like you've been hit by a truck. That's because after 60, your body's primary goal isn't looking good in a swimsuit, it's survival. I want to tell you about a man named Arthur. Arthur was 68, a retired architect from Seattle. He was a proud man, a hard worker, and he applied that same hard work to his health. He was eating steamed fish and broccoli every single night. He was hitting the pavement for 3-mile walks, even when his knees screamed at him. He was miserable. And he was still carrying a heavy, stubborn spare tire around his waist that his doctor kept lecturing him about. Arthur came to me and said, "I'm doing the work. Why isn't the work working?" I looked at him and said, "Arthur, your body thinks you're at war, and in a war zone, nobody throws away their supplies." You see, every time Arthur forced himself to go on that painful walk, or every time he sat through a dinner feeling hungry and deprived, his brain sent a signal to his adrenal glands. It said, "Emergency," and those glands responded by flooding his blood with cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone, but I like to call it the fat padlock. When your cortisol is high, your body physically cannot burn fat. It doesn't matter if you eat nothing but celery for a month. If that padlock is closed, the fat stays exactly where it is to protect your vital organs. Arthur was stuck in the cortisol trap. The way out isn't to fight harder, it's to surrender. It's to tell your nervous system that the war is over. I told Arthur about the sweet signal. I told him to go to the market and find the darkest, purest chocolate he could find, at least 70% cocoa. I told him he had to eat 2 small squares every single evening during his golden window, that quiet hour after dinner when the house finally gets still. He looked at me like I'd lost my mind. "You want me to eat chocolate to lose weight?" I said, "No, Arthur. I want you to eat chocolate to lower your stress. The weight loss is just the side effect of a calm body. Here is the science of why this works and why it's going to work for you, too." Real, high-quality dark chocolate is one of the most concentrated sources of polyphenols and flavonoids on the planet. These aren't just nutrients, they are chemical messengers. When they hit your system, they inhibit the production of cortisol. They literally turn down the volume on your internal fire alarm. But it's not just about the chemistry, it's about the experience. When you sit down, when you stop rushing, when you let that single square of chocolate melt slowly, and I mean slowly on your tongue, you are practicing mindful safety. You are giving your brain a hit of dopamine and endorphins that says, "We are okay, we are safe, we are satisfied." The moment your brain believes you are safe, it unlocks the fat. Arthur started his chocolate protocol that very night. For the first week, he felt like he was getting away with something. He'd sit on his porch, watch the sunset, and slowly savor his 2 squares. And then the miracles started happening. But they weren't miracles, they were just biology. First, his cravings for late-night chips and crackers just vanished. Because he was satisfying his brain's need for a reward, he didn't need to raid the pantry at 10 p.m. Second, he started sleeping, really sleeping. That deep, restorative sleep where your body does its best repair work. By the end of the first month, Arthur hadn't lost weight through suffering. He had shed weight through peace. He lost 12 pounds in 4 weeks. But more importantly, he lost the heaviness in his spirit. He felt younger. He felt lighter. I want that for you. I want you to stop the all-or-nothing diets that leave you feeling empty. I want you to stop the punishing workouts that make you feel old. I want you to embrace the gentle path. Tomorrow, when you go to the grocery store, I want you to walk past the brightly colored candy bars. Those are just sugar and oil. Find the dark chocolate. Look for the 70% or 80% cocoa. Look at it as your metabolic medicine. When you get home, don't just toss it in the cupboard. Put it somewhere special. Tonight, after your dinner, wait about an hour. Turn off the television, put down your phone, and give yourself 5 minutes of total peace. Take your dose. Let it melt. Breathe breathe in the aroma, you are sending a signal to every cell in your body that says the famine is over. You can let go now. This is the secret to aging with grace and vitality. It's not about how much you can endure. It's about how much you can enjoy. If you're ready to try this, if you're ready to put down the boxing gloves and start being a friend to your body again, I want you to make a commitment to yourself. Try it for 14 days. Just 2 weeks. Watch what happens to your sleep. Watch what happens to your energy. And watch what happens when you look in the mirror and finally see yourself again. You've worked hard enough. It's time to let the sweetness do the work for you. I believe in you, and I know your body is just waiting for the signal to thrive. Go find your peace and your chocolate. I'll be right here waiting to hear about your progress. The invisible barrier, why your effort isn't the problem. I want to talk to you today about something that isn't in the medical textbooks, but every person over 60 knows it in their bones. It's that feeling of hitting a glass wall. You're doing the work, you're staying active, you're choosing the light options at the restaurant, but you're still not seeing the results. It feels like there is an invisible barrier between the effort you're putting in and the reflection you see in the mirror. And for years, the world has told you the same thing. Try harder, eat less, push through the pain. But what if I told you that pushing through is exactly what's keeping the wall standing? In our 60s, our bodies don't respond to force. They respond to persuasion. I want to introduce you to someone else, a woman named Evelyn. Evelyn was 67, a grandmother of 4 from Georgia. She was a bundle of energy, but she was constantly on. She was the one who took care of everyone, the one who never sat down, the one who prided herself on being strong. But Evelyn was exhausted. She had developed what she called her stress shelf, that stubborn, hard layer of fat right at the waistband that wouldn't budge no matter how many laps she walked around the neighborhood. She told me, "I don't understand. I barely eat during the day because I'm so busy. I should be thin as a rail." And I told her, "Evelyn, that's exactly why your body is holding on. You aren't eating, so your body thinks you're starving in a desert. You're constantly rushing, so your body thinks you're being hunted. You are living in a state of biological red alert. When you stay in that red alert mode, your brain triggers a chemical cascade. It's not just cortisol. It's a whole symphony of hormones that tell your metabolism to freeze. It slows your thyroid, it makes your muscles hold on to water, and it locks your fat stores behind a vault door. You cannot starve a body out of a survival state. You have to lure it out. I gave Evelyn the same secret I'm giving you today, the sweet reset. I told her, "Evelyn, I want you to make a ritual. I want you to reclaim your evenings. I want you to stop being the strong one for 20 minutes a day, and I want you to eat some chocolate." She laughed. She actually laughed in my face. She said, "Honey, I haven't had a piece of chocolate without feeling guilty since 1982. And I said, "That guilt is the first thing we have to burn, because that guilt, that's just more stress. That's more cortisol. That's more fat on the shelf." I explained the dopamine-cortisol seesaw. You see, when we experience genuine, slow, mindful pleasure, our brain releases dopamine and serotonin. These are the happy chemicals. On the biological seesaw, when dopamine goes up, cortisol must go down. They cannot occupy the same space at the same time. By eating that high-quality, 70% dark chocolate, slowly, intentionally, and without an ounce of shame, you are literally tilting the seesaw in your favor. Evelyn started the ritual. She called it her me-time medicine. Every night, after the dishes were done and the house was quiet, she'd break off 2 small squares. She'd sit on her back porch, listen to the crickets, and just be. She wasn't dieting. She was decompressing. 2 weeks later, she called me. She didn't talk about the scale first. She talked about her face. She said, "The bags under my eyes are gone. I don't look pinched anymore." A week after that, she sent me a photo of a pair of trousers she hadn't worn in 5 years. Zipped up, comfortable, and no shelf in sight. She hadn't lost weight through grit and teeth gritting. She had dissolved the stress that was holding the weight in place. I want you to understand the power you hold in your own kitchen. It's not about the macros or the points or the steps. It's about the signal. Every time you deny yourself something you love, every time you force a workout that makes you miserable, you are signaling danger. Every time you choose a moment of peace, every time you savor a rich, dark piece of chocolate, every time you breathe and tell yourself, "I am safe," you are signaling health. As we move through our 60s and beyond, this is the most important skill we can learn. We have to learn how to speak the language of our aging bodies. We have to learn that soft is often more powerful than hard. So, here is your mission for this week. Don't just buy the chocolate. Revere the chocolate. Treat it like the powerful metabolic key that it is. When you sit down for your golden window tonight, I want you to look at that small square. Notice the dark color. Smell the roasted, earthy scent. And as it melts, I want you to say to yourself, the war is over. I am safe. My body is allowed to let go. You might feel silly the first time you do it. That's okay. The results won't be silly. They will be life-changing. You'll start to notice that you're not just losing belly fat, you're gaining clarity. You're gaining patience. You're gaining a sense of home in your own skin that you might have lost decades ago. This is the beauty of the cortisol killer protocol. It's not a chore. It's a gift. I want you to take that gift tonight. You've earned it through years of hard work and looking after others. It's finally time to look after the most important person in your life, you. I'll be checking back in with you. I want to hear about your me-time medicine. I want to hear how that first square tasted. Remember, peace is your new workout. Sweetness is your new strategy. Go get started. You're ready, and your body is ready to finally relax. I want you to think about a campfire. When the wood is dry and the air is calm, it burns steady. It burns bright. But what happens if you pour a bucket of ice water on it? Or what happens if you try to smother it under a heavy pile of wet leaves? The fire doesn't get bigger. It just smokes. It sputters. And eventually, it goes cold. Your metabolism after 60 is that fire. And for years, the diet industry has been telling you to dump ice water on your system through starvation and punishing workouts. They told you that if you weren't suffering, you weren't succeeding. But look at the cost. Look at how tired you feel. Look at how that fog seems to settle over your brain by 3 in the afternoon. Today, I want to talk to you about the metabolic whisper. I remember a man named Dale, 72 years young, a former contractor from Arizona. Dale was a man's man. He thought the only way to lose his gut was to sweat it out. He was out in the heat, pushing his heart rate into the red zone, and then coming home to a dinner of nothing but greens. Dale was losing his hair, he was losing his sleep, but he wasn't losing a single inch off his waist. I told him, Dale, you're trying to scream at your body, but your body only understands whispers. The whisper, I taught him, was about magnesium and mindfulness. You see, high-quality dark chocolate isn't just a treat because of the taste. It is one of the highest natural sources of magnesium on the planet. And magnesium is the master relaxer. It's the mineral that tells your muscles to unclench. It's the mineral that tells your heart to beat steady. And it's the mineral that tells your brain it's time to stop worrying about the past and the future. When you combine that magnesium with the golden window protocol, you aren't just eating, you are rewiring. I told Dale, when you have your chocolate tonight, I want you to do something radical. I want you to sit in total silence. No TV, no radio, just you and the taste. He told me later that those first 5 minutes were the hardest of his life. His brain wanted to do something. It wanted to worry about the bills or the grandkids or the lawn. But by the third night, something shifted. He felt a thaw. That tension he'd been carrying in his shoulders for 40 years, it just dropped. And that's when the fat started to move. You see, belly fat is active fat. It's not just sitting there. It's actually producing its own stress chemicals. It's like a little factory on your waist that keeps the stress cycle going. By using the dark chocolate to force a shutdown of the cortisol factory in your brain, you starve the fat cells of the fuel they need to stay locked. Dale lost 22 pounds in 2 months. He didn't run a single extra mile. In fact, he started walking less, but with more presence. He started enjoying his food again. I want you to understand that your body wants to be lean. It's heavy because it's armored. It's trying to protect you from a world it perceives as harsh. When you take that square of chocolate, when you let the bitterness and the sweetness play on your tongue, you are telling your biology, the world is kind. The world is abundant. We don't need the armor anymore. I want you to try a little experiment tonight. When you take your piece of dark chocolate, remember 70% or higher, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to notice the temperature of it. Notice how it changes from a solid to a velvet liquid. That melting you feel, that is a physical metaphor for what is happening to your stress. As the chocolate melts, imagine the cortisol lock on your belly fat just sliding open. Imagine your metabolism waking up from a long, cold winter, stretching its limbs and starting to burn clean and bright again. You don't need to be a warrior to get your health back. You just need to be a student of your own peace. This week, I want you to be the scientist of your own joy. Don't look look at the scale every morning. That's a stressor. Instead, look at how your clothes fit. Look at the glow in your skin. Look at how much easier it is to smile at a stranger. These are the real indicators that your cortisol killer is working. You've spent decades building a life. Now it's time to inhabit it with a body that feels light and energized and safe. Go get your chocolate. Start your window. And most importantly, give yourself permission to enjoy every single second of it. I'm so proud of the steps you're taking. This isn't just about a sweet snack. It's about a new way of being. Stay sweet, stay calm, and keep listening to your body's whisper. The rhythm of the seasons. Why your body is finally ready to let go. I want you to think about the trees outside your window for a moment. They don't fight the winter, do they? They don't try to grow leaves in a blizzard or force fruit when the ground is frozen. They wait. They store their energy, and when the sun finally sends that signal of warmth, they open up effortlessly. For too long, you've been trying to force spring in the middle of a winter of stress, and you're wondering why you're exhausted. If you're over 60, your body has lived through many seasons. It's seen it all. It's been through the high-pressure summers of building a career, the hectic autumns of raising a family, and now it's looking for a period of restorative grace. But instead of grace, most of us give our bodies the whip. I want to tell you about a woman named Martha, 71, a retired nurse from Ohio. Martha spent 40 years on her feet, taking care of everyone but herself. When she retired, she thought, okay, now I'm going to get fit. She joined a high-intensity aerobics class. She cut out all fats. She was white-knuckling her way through every day. But Martha's belly was getting harder, and her sleep was getting shorter. I told her, Martha, your body is terrified. It spent 40 years in a high-stress hospital environment, and now that you're finally retired, you're attacking it with exercise and hunger. It thinks the war never ended. The secret I shared with her wasn't just about the chocolate. It was about the safety signal. You see, our brains have a tiny part called the amygdala. It's like a little security guard that never sleeps. In your 60s, that security guard can get a bit jumpy. It starts seeing threats everywhere, in a news headline, in a late-night bill, even in a skipped meal. When you take that square of dark chocolate, that's 70% or higher, rich, earthy cocoa, you are essentially handing that security guard a cup of tea and telling him to take a break. The cocoa butter in dark chocolate is a special kind of fat called stearic acid, and unlike other fats, it doesn't spike your cholesterol. Instead, it provides a slow, steady burn of energy that tells your brain, we have resources, we are stable, we aren't in a famine. I told Martha to do something she hadn't done in years. I told her to eat her chocolate while listening to her favorite music from when she was 20. Why? Because nostalgia plus flavonoids equals a cortisol crash. When you pair the chemical power of the chocolate with a positive emotional memory, you create a metabolic anchor. You are anchoring your body in a state of deep cellular safety. Martha started her evening symphony. She'd put on some classic jazz, sit in her favorite sunroom, and savor her 2 squares of dark chocolate. The change was almost spooky. Within 3 weeks, her stress shelf didn't just shrink, it softened. That's the first sign, you know. When the fat on your belly goes from hard and tight to soft and squishy, that's your body saying, I'm letting go of the lock. I'm ready to burn this. Martha lost 3 inches off her waist in a month, but what she really gained was her breath. She told me, I feel like I finally come home to myself. I want you to experience that homecoming. I want you to realize that you don't have to earn your health through suffering. You don't have to pay a misery tax to have a flat stomach. Tomorrow morning, I don't want you to wake up and think about what you have to restrict. I want you to wake up and think about the sweetness you're going to invite in tonight. When you go to the store, look for the bars that feel heavy, the ones that have a high snap when you break them. That's the sign of good tempering and high mineral content. That's your metabolic key. And tonight, when your golden window opens, I want you to be greedy with your peace. Don't share that time with your phone. Don't share it with the laundry. Share it only with yourself and that one perfect square of chocolate. Let it sit on your tongue. Feel the complexity of the flavor. And as you swallow, feel that security guard in your brain finally sit down and close his eyes. Your body is not your enemy. It is your oldest friend. And after 60 years of service, it's time you treated that friend to a little bit of luxury. You aren't just eating chocolate. You are reclaiming your rhythm. You are turning the winter of stress into a spring of vitality. I can't wait to hear how your first symphony goes. Stay gentle with yourself. Stay consistent. And remember, the best version of you isn't the one who works the hardest. hardest. It's the one who is the most at peace. Go get your key. Your body is waiting to unlock.